Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. Up next, players to watch, Ravens versus Cowboys. Let's talk. So the Baltimore Ravens are getting geared up to face off against the Cowboys on Saturday in Dallas. Now, we already know none of the starters are going to play. There'll be no LJ, there'll be no Derrick Henry, no Zay, no Bate, no Stanley, no Linderbaum, so on and so forth. But I do think that there is something to look forward to in this game. I think that this is the game where hopefuls will either stamp their real chance to get on this roster, and also there will be some positions that have been up for grabs, questions about who the starter would be. I think this is that game also. I think a couple of dudes are on the hot seat, not hot seat of being cut, but the hot seat in the context of keeping their starting job. So let's start at the QB position, and then we'll work our way position by position and see who we need to be looking for. Well, of course, we understand the quarterback position is locked up, so we're looking at Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush has been questionable all training camp, okay? And you guys have heard me talk about Cooper Rush before, but he's going to get a start. It should have him at a high level of motivation facing his former team, and so this is an opportunity to validate his spot as the backup quarterback on this roster. Now, that's not to say if he doesn't perform well that he's out, because I think his contract mostly solidifies him on this team. But I think we're going to see, is Cooper Rush really Ravens quarterback worthy or backup quarterback worthy, or should we have gone in a different direction? If you can't get up for the team that let you walk and ball out, it really brings into question your value as the backup quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. All right. So Cooper Rush, first got to keep our eye on. He will be starting on tomorrow night. All right. As we keep moving at the backup position in the backfield, I think there's nothing really to see there. You know, we know the starters, Derrick Henry. Second up is Justice Hill, and we know Keaton Mitchell will be the third guy. I think Keaton Mitchell and Rashawn Ali are both banged up, so I guess it'll be the fourth or fifth string dudes who get the carries. I'm not really sure. Maybe that's Dearness Johnson and somebody else, or maybe Dearness Johnson plays the entire game. We'll have to wait and see. Let's see. Tight end position, nothing to see there. We already know who's going to make this team. I don't think a third tight end is really up for grabs as far as that spot, because we understand that Patrick Ricard doubles as a tight end as well as a fullback. So nothing to see there. But now let's go to a position that has been controversial, and let's deal with Daniel Faalele. Okay. Man, did he take a lot of heat, a lot of embarrassment from last week's performance. Getting knocked down on the ground and really looked incompetent at times in that game. This is not me banging on him. This is not me criticizing him. This is just me calling what we saw last week what it was. And a guy who is 6'8", 350 plus pounds, he's reported to have come in slimmer and in more shape this season. And it said that it has been a benefit to his mobility. But in last week's game, that's not what we saw. And so it really brings into question, and you guys know I have been a Daniel Faalele supporter, not because he's been great, but I thought that with 19 games of experience, going into his fourth season, which is also a contract year, I thought that we would get the best out of Daniel Faalele. And I'm not saying that we won't, but last week's performance brings a lot of things into question, right? So then by proxy, that means another guy to keep our eye on is going to be Ben Cleveland. 4/5 of this offensive line, I believe, are set. And if it was up to John Harbaugh only, I believe that 5 of 5 positions along this offensive line would be set. Now, ultimately, it is up to John Harbaugh. But I think that it's not only up to John Harbaugh if Daniel Faalele keeps starting, because it's going to be based on the film that he puts on display, right? When you pull the tape and you watch it, there's a lot of things that Harbaugh just cannot defend, okay? And so Daniel Faalele, and so therefore by proxy, Ben Cleveland, right? Will Ben Cleveland continue to outperform Daniel? That's the question, right? And I think that the Baltimore Ravens have fallen out of love with Ben Cleveland, but because of familiarity and a cheap contract, they brought him back. Could he be serviceable? Yes. Is he elite? No. But he has put on some better tape than Falele. And so I think that this is really going to be a competition. I just don't think it's going to go to Daniel this time. Last year, I do not believe Ben Cleveland had a real opportunity to earn any scratch, but I think he will this season. Again, I don't know how Ben Cleveland practices, right? Because there has to be something happening with Cleveland that keeps him in John Harbaugh's doghouse. But I think Harbaugh is going to have to put his pride aside and allow the best man to win that position. Okay. And I think that with this conversation, that makes our offensive line one of the biggest points of concern, even this late in the offseason. I think the interior is still a point of concern because if we still have questions about Daniel Falele after 19 games starting, two of them being playoff games, then I don't know if he's going to answer those questions over the next couple of games in the preseason. So I'm super interested to see what happens. All right. Another guy I think that we need to keep our eye on this week is going to be Okoye. Okoye is a defensive lineman who's just been bringing it with consistency. He's a UDFA, if I remember him correctly. I know he wasn't drafted by us, but I think that what we've seen from him is good tape. We've seen good effort. We've seen good power, good strength. And I think that if he puts on good demonstration this week, if he puts on a performance worthy of catching the eyes of the coaches, both defensively and head coach John Harbaugh, I think that it could put somebody else in jeopardy. Again, the competition on this roster is going to be steep, especially as we are basically 3 weeks away from the regular season. These young guys who put on a performance is going to absolutely put some pressure on the coaches to make some tough decisions. And I think Okoye has been doing that. He's been showing great effort. And if he does some things this week, I think that somebody may have to see about it, right? And we understand that if he don't make the Ravens, because people like to watch what we do and how we prepare our players for games, I think he'll end up somewhere for sure. He won't be on the outside looking in, and I do not think the Baltimore Ravens will be able to slot Okoye onto the practice squad. All right. I want to talk about the safety position, specifically Bo Braid and Sanusi Kane. Okay. We already understand who the starters are. That's no question. We know that that's going to be Malachi Starks. He has nothing else to prove to me. And in fact, he would get, if he plays tonight, if he plays tomorrow night, he would absolutely get limited snaps. 1 series, 2 series, and he's out, right? We understand that Cal Hamilton has been battling an injury. And so we won't see Cal Hamilton until week 1 of the regular season. So hopefully he continues to mend and he's able to get back on the field at full speed at some point pretty quickly. So I think it's Bo Braid and Sanusi Kane, right? I would love to see Jalen Armour-Davis get some run at one of the safety positions, specifically the free safety position, especially since there's another guy at the cornerback position that is making some noise and getting some notoriety. But I want to see if Braid plays that free safety position well, if he's solid in coverage, if he's in the right place, if he knows the coverage, those kind of things, if he's willing to tackle. Sanusi Kane is definitely a willing tackler, for sure. Sanusi Kane is not in any type of jeopardy of making this team, but I do want to see him play strong safety just in case he has to step in for Kyle Hamilton at some point this season. This is when you make your name known. So Bo Braid and both Sanusi Kane. I want to go to the linebacker position. I think it's a guarantee that Teddy Buchanan is on this roster, but I really believe that Jay Higgins, undrafted linebacker, is in competition with Holcomb. I think I got his name correctly when I say Holcomb, the free agent that we signed, linebacker. Jay Higgins played well last week. He put some good film out there. He was in on 2 turnovers. And I think this is another opportunity for him to make his name known. He was one of the better linebackers in college last season, so it was a surprise that he did not get drafted. But the Baltimore Ravens paid him good money to link up on this team, and he's done nothing more than continue to validate his opportunity that the Baltimore Ravens gave him. I want to see him come downhill a little more. I want to see his speed on display. I want to see him have a little bit of sideline to sideline. And that's not me saying he doesn't. I'm saying I want to see that on display. I want to see him in coverage some more, right? Because what we saw last week was a result of some bad quarterback play. Daniel Jones didn't play well, and Anthony Richardson did not play well either, right? And of course, Richardson got knocked out early. So I want to see if Higgins can really run with the starting team that comes out for Dallas, not the starters, but the team that first gets on the field, and then if he can continue his momentum throughout the game. I think he will absolutely get a lot of run. I think we'll see him, Simpson, and Buchanan play tomorrow night, but I think we're going to see a lot of Higgins, and I think he has a real shot to emerge as one of the top four for sure. Let's see who else. Let me keep going around the roster. Cornerback, Lowry. Lowry is a cornerback, 5'9", so he's definitely suited for the slot, but he has been solid. Matter of fact, he's been better than solid the entire preseason experience, right? Mini camp, OTAs, and then in training camp. I think he's up to 5 interceptions, and he's actually leading the team in interceptions, and that may be against some of the secondary quarterbacking, but I think he has a pick off of Lamar Jackson as well, if I'm remembering the report correctly. So this is a guy that did not get much run last week. If I'm thinking, I don't remember his name being called a whole lot, but I think he gets a lot of run this week, especially with Bilal Coney going down, especially with the stash of Robert Longerbeam. I think that he could make a run at a 7th cornerback spot. Of course, we understand the top of that cornerback room is Alexander, Wiggins, Humphrey, Awuzie, TJ Tampa, Armour Davis. And I think Lowry is going to make a push for a 7th. And that's why I say Jalen Armour Davis getting some run at free safety could lean into that. I think the Ravens could absolutely keep 11 defensive backs, 7 corners, and 4 safeties, with Jalen Armour Davis doubling at both positions. So that's what I would like to see from Lowry. Want to see if he's just a practice performer or if he's going to be a game performer. If I jump back to the wide receiver position, back to the offensive side of the ball, the last guy I want to mention is Devontae Walker, not LaJohntay Wester. I think that we've seen everything we needed to see from LaJohntay Wester to validate his spot on this roster as the punt returner, potentially a kick returner, and then, can plug and play some wide receiver at times. But I want to see Devontae Walker, not because he hasn't proven himself this offseason, but I just want to see him get some real preseason run. I want to see his speed on display. I want to see his hands, because he's been killing it in practice, but I want to see it in live game action. And so I want to see him run routes. I want to see him catch the back shoulder. I want to see him take the top off. Just a couple of plays, and then he can go to the sideline. We don't need to risk anybody else getting injured. But those are the guys. Those are the guys I would like to see that I'm watching for. Jump in the comment section and let me know who you're watching for as it pertains to the Baltimore Ravens versus the Dallas game. So listen, I'll catch you guys in the morning, live, roughly 8:30. Big time conversation, and I'm out. Okay. Not a great video. If I jump back to the wide receiver position, back to the offensive side of the ball, the last guy I want to mention is Devontae Walker, not LaJohntay Wester. I think that we've seen everything we needed to see from LaJohntay Wester to validate his spot on this roster as the punt returner, potentially a kick returner, and then, can plug and play some wide receiver at times. But I want to see Devontae Walker, not because he hasn't proven himself this offseason, but I just want to see him get some real preseason run. I want to see his speed on display. I want to see his hands, because he's been killing it in practice, but I want to see it in live game action. And so I want to see him run routes. I want to see him catch the back shoulder. I want to see him take the top off. Just a couple of plays, and then he can go to the sideline. We don't need to risk anybody else getting injured. But those are the guys. Those are the guys I would like to see that I'm watching for. Jump in the comment section and let me know who you're watching for as it pertains to the Baltimore Ravens versus the Dallas game. So listen, I'll catch you guys in the morning, live, roughly 8:30. Big time conversation, and I'm out.